This lunar eclipse is not an ordinary one. For some zodiac signs, it is going to bring lucky breakthroughs. For some, it can bring dramatic turning points, and for some, it might even bring emotional loss. In this video, I'm going to reveal what this lunar eclipse is most likely to bring for each zodiac sign. This eclipse is happening on August 27 or 28 in 2026, depending on your location. It is happening in the sign of Aquarius and in the nakshatra of Shatabisha. This reading is based on Vedic astrology, so make sure you check your rising sign according to the sidereal or Vedic zodiac. You can also check your moon sign for deeper insight. Let's get started. Starting with zodiac signs that are likely to experience some big turning points after this lunar eclipse. Aquarius. Aquarius, you're going to experience a major change in your life direction. You may become extremely frustrated with the same old problems you have been dealing with, and you may reach a point where you are like, I don't want my life to be controlled by these problems anymore. So either you're going to find a permanent solution to them, or your entire life direction may start changing. This could mean a change in your life goals, career, or even the way you live your day to day life. But be careful about making sudden decisions out of frustration, especially quitting your job in an emotional rush, because that could later give you a financial reality check. So, Aquarius, something is definitely changing, but make sure you are changing your life because you see a better direction, not simply because you want to escape your current problems. Scorpio. Scorpio, you're going to experience a major shift in your emotional connection with your home and family. Something may happen that completely changes your understanding of what a happy and secure life actually means to you. The beliefs and expectations you had about your family or your personal life may no longer give you the emotional security you were looking for. This can also change the way you deal with your family and the people closest to you. It's almost like an emotional blindfold comes off, and you start seeing certain realities more clearly. And once you see those realities, your behavior and your emotional priorities can change significantly. So, Scorpio, this is a major turning point in your home, family, and emotional life. Leo, you are going to experience a major shift in your relationship dynamics. This can happen because something hidden about your relationship or your spouse comes to light, or because an external event forces you to rethink the way this relationship is working. You may realize that this relationship dynamic has been consuming too much of your emotional energy, and you're no longer willing to continue it in the same way. For some of you, this can bring separation or even divorce, while for others, it can simply mean completely changing the boundaries and the way you deal with your partner. Either way, you are becoming much more focused on freeing yourself from a relationship pattern that has been emotionally exhausting you for a long time. So, Leo, this is definitely a major turning point in your relationships and around the eclipse. Try to handle things calmly rather than reacting in an emotional rush. Taurus. Taurus, you are going to experience a major shift in your career. Your emotional attitude towards your work can change dramatically, and an external event may force you to seriously question whether you are actually on the right career path. You may reach a point where you are like, I can't continue doing this the way I've been doing it. I need something different. This could bring a change in your career direction, a major professional decision, or even turning one of your existing skills into your profession. And there's also a positive possibility. A career opportunity may come from way that takes you closer to the career you have actually wanted. So Taurus, this eclipse can become a major turning point in your professional life. Now let's move to the zodiac signs for whom this lunar eclipse can actually prove to be very lucky. Aries. Aries, something that once gave you emotional security may now start feeling like it's holding you back from the future you want. An outer event or a realization that can make you see this very clearly. You may start prioritizing your future goals, independence, social circle, and long term ambitions over the old family environment or emotional attachments you have been holding on to. And this can actually work in your favor. Something that has been emotionally weighing you down may finally move out of your way. The things that were slowing down your growth or blocking your long term goals are likely to move out of your way, making your growth process stronger. You could also receive an opportunity, achieve a long standing wish, or enter a new social environment that gives you more freedom. Your mindset becomes, I want a different kind of life, and now I'm ready to create it. Virgo. Virgo, this eclipse can put you in a situation where you have no choice but to deal with the problem you have been trying to avoid. It could be a difficult work situation, competition, a conflict with someone, or a responsibility that has been creating pressure for a long time. But instead of running from it, you are likely to become extremely focused on solving it. And this is where things can turn in your favor. The interesting part is the problem itself can become the reason you succeed. You may finally defeat a competitor, solve a long standing work issue, clear an obstacle, or prove yourself in a situation where you were being challenged. So, Virgo, you may enter this eclipse thinking, I just need to get rid of this problem, and come out of it thinking, wait, I actually won. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, something may happen that pushes you to do what you were too afraid or hesitant to do before. It could be confronting someone, having a difficult conversation, taking an important decision, standing up for yourself, or finally dealing with the problem you have been avoiding for a long time. And once you are forced to face it, your entire way of thinking can start changing. You may become more confident, more direct, and much less afraid of confrontation. And here's where this eclipse can actually work in your favor. The situation you didn't want to face may become the very thing that takes you closer to what you actually want. You may lose your fear, take the action you were avoiding, and finally create the change you have wanted for a long time. Now, there are two zodiac signs for whom this eclipse can feel much heavier. It can bring emotional disappointment, emotional loss, and a much deeper psychological impact. Let's see which two zodiac signs they are. Cancer. Cancer, you're very likely to go through some kind of emotional disappointment or emotional loss that can trigger a major psychological shift. Something may happen that makes you feel, I cannot go back to who I was before this. You may be forced to confront parts of yourself you have been running away from, old fears, insecurities, or attachments. It could even be a new event that triggers something very old inside you, bringing intense emotions to the surface. This can feel like the psychological depth of an old version of you, making space for a new identity. And the realization can be, I didn't know how strong I was until being strong was the only choice I had. So, Cancer, this may be painful, but it can completely change the way you see yourself. Pisces. Pisces, you may also experience some kind of emotional disappointment or emotional loss that creates a strong feeling of detachment. You may start losing interest in romantic attachments, seeking validation, or things you were once deeply emotionally invested in. Your attitude toward love, children, creativity, or even risky pursuits can also change. You may simply realize that something you once loved or desired no longer belongs in your future, and letting go is necessary for you to start a new chapter. So, Pisces, During this period, be especially careful with speculative investments, risky financial decisions, and major spending commitments. Lastly, we are left with three signs, and for these three signs, this eclipse is not bringing any major or crucial changes in their lives. But there still be some changes, mainly in their perspective, and let's see what those changes are. Capricorn. Capricorn, this eclipse is not bringing a major relationship change, but it can definitely change the way you look at your relationship. You may start questioning, do we actually share the same values? Is this relationship giving me the security and future I want? You may also become more determined to resolve a relationship issue that has been bothering you for a long time, and you may no longer be willing to stay quiet about it. You may start reconsidering the values, financial arrangements, family dynamics, and communication patterns that hold your relationship together. But be careful with your words around the eclipse, because if you speak up, you may be much more bitter or blunt than you realize. And Capricorn, also pay some attention to your food habits around the eclipse and avoid unnecessary junk or questionable food. Gemini. Gemini, you are likely to experience a shift in your financial mindset. You may stop living according to financial values or goals you inherited from your family and start creating a financial philosophy that actually reflects who you are becoming. Your thinking about earning, saving, investing, and spending can change. You may even realize that the financial goal you have been saving for doesn't make sense anymore because your vision for the future has completely changed. So, Gemini, this isn't necessarily a major financial event, it's more about changing what you want your money to achieve. Libra. Libra, a shift in your career aspirations is on the way. You may start feeling that your work would reflect who you genuinely are and what you actually enjoy. A career that once gave you satisfaction may no longer feel meaningful. And you may start thinking, I want to do something that actually belongs to me. For some of you, this could mean turning a hobby or personal interest into a career. For others, it may simply mean changing the way you work within your existing career. An outer event at work could trigger this realization and make you question, why am I spending my time on something that doesn't feel like me anymore? So, Libra, this eclipse can change your career direction and the meaning you attach to your work.